Family, welcome to another edition of Just Reasoning. Special guest joining us tonight, who we only invite on here periodically. And that periodically normally aligns when police have unjustifiably killed somebody, which really could be every week. But our special officer lioness, Desiree, is here to discuss one issue before she has to get to bed and get up and protect and serve the people. Tech special big up on herself. Welcome to This Reasoning. So, Miss Desiree, so we normally start off kind of light-hearted, but we know you have things to do. So we're going to just jump right into it. And another week, another issue of a police shooting, which, you know, again, I'm not in the field, but to me, it seems completely unjustified, and I just have some questions about it. So this is in Minnesota again. You know, they all kind of crap about the Minnesota Police Department. But there was a shooting of a young man, Amir Locke, I think is his name. And what happened here is police were executing a no-knock warrant. And so we'll talk to you about kind of what that is versus a regular warrant and all that. Police were executing a no-knock warrant. So they show up to this apartment at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, he was at his cousin's house. He was not on the warrant. He was just there, spending the night with his cousin. And he's on the couch sleeping. Police basically kick in the door at 7 o'clock in the morning, or I guess they had a key. It's an apartment, so I guess the apartment complex gave them a key. Open the door, walk in, and he's on the couch, and he had a gun. You know, you're in your residence, somebody busting the door. Yeah, he had a gun, and within 9 seconds, shot and killed him. He was not wanted for anything. He was not on the warrant. He just happened to be there. Police come and kick in the door and end up killing him. So that's the backstory behind that. With that, you know, I've heard that, you know, they use the term a lot, no-knock warrant. Can you, in layman's terms that everybody can understand, say what is a no-knock warrant and how is that different from just any other warrant that you're executing? Can you explain that to us, please?
In layman's terms, a no-knock warrant just basically means that you're gonna come in the door blasting, basically. No
blasting,
not blasting, but you just.
All right, okay. Careful with these words. All right. Okay, so you're just showing up. Okay.
Unannounced. You don't have to knock and announce yourself. Hey, police. Houston police, whatever agency, you don't have to announce that. You just come through the door and you go directly to wherever you think the person that you're looking for is at.
All right, so let's contrast that with just a regular warrant. So is there a case where a warrant out for somebody and you show up and you knock on the door, say police, and wait for the person to come out and deal with it that way? Is our warrants executed that way also?
Yes, warrants are executed that way. Normally it's a misdemeanor warrant where you knock and wait for someone to answer and ask for the person that you're looking for. But as long as it's a felony, most times you don't have to make any announcement.
All right, so Texan, especially jump in here whenever, but so as I think about that, right? So in this case, they said the no-knock warrant was for it involved a homicide, so right? So there's a felony involved here.
Correct.
In such cases, though, right? So the suspect, you know, I'm sure in most cases is not by themselves, right? So they may be in a house, you know, with a couple kids in there, a wife or some other people who have nothing to do with it.
That is correct.
Right. So in such circumstances, what, like, how do you, it seems like it is kind of destined for something to go wrong because, you know, you bust up in most people's house unannounced, you know, without, I don't know, it's the police or whatever. The natural reaction, especially if you have a weapon, is to grab your weapon and, you know, protect yourself, protect your family, what have you. So it seems like it would put both the police life in danger as well as everybody in that place. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Tex, especially jump in before I carry on this one-on-one conversation.
All right. My first question is, you know, I mean, why use the no knock warrant? Why use it? It's so dangerous to everybody. Everybody included. Why use it?
It's dangerous in any execution of any warrant. People don't want to go to jail. And so they're going to avoid that by any cause most times. So it doesn't matter if we knock and announce ourselves. The other person on the other side of the door that does not want to go to jail is probably going to blast through the door anyways, shooting through the door, knowing that the police is on the other side. So right. I think either way, it's going to be a dangerous situation.
So do you believe that a no-knock warrant in that situation is more dangerous? Yeah, so yeah, they don't want to go to jail, period, right?
Right.
What do you think is more dangerous when you just kick in the door?
No, I can't speak for other states. Remember, every state has their own set of laws, make their own policies and all that. For Texas, for all the warrants that I've executed, no-knock warrants that I've executed, it's very well planned out. This is not something we just woke up one day, came to work and said, hey, Johnny has a warrant, go get him, bring him back. It never works like that. No warrant that I've ever executed worked like that. There's been hours upon days of sitting on that house, well documented, who's inside, the coming and goings of everybody, where that person is located in the house. Sometimes we send the robot in, the robot's looking around, you can see it, SWAT is set up.
How the robot get in the house?
What's that?
No, you said the robot was in there looking around.
No, right? We can send a robot in. There's different scenarios, different situations.
So let me ask this. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So what measures? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just finish your statement and then Tex will
so on this instance that we did, it is early in the morning, most times 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning before anybody's up moving around. We throw those flashbangs in, it turns, everything just goes disoriented for who's inside the house. There's smoke, there's loud bang, 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 bang. Before you can even know what happened, people, SWAT has made entry, they wear the hard hat and the heavy gear. They go in, looking for whoever they're looking for. And once they have sights on them, and it's get down everybody. Everybody in that house has to get down. It doesn't matter if it's a child, everybody. Yeah. Everybody's on the floor. Get down, get down, get down. Commands are being given. And at that time, it's the police.
Me not speak English.
There's no second guessing that.
Me not speak English and end up getting shot.
Oh, no. There's always a translator if we know.
They could be Polynesian.
Trust me, when I tell you we've done our homework, most cases, yeah.
Okay, go on, Tex.
So what measures are taken before the no-knock warrant? Are there other, is there, have there been efforts to try to apprehend this gentleman or whoever it is any other type of way?
Good question.
Inviting them to the police station, questioning or what may have you. And then, I don't think it's really distinguished between misdemeanor and felony because they're felonies. I mean, there could be a check writing, could be a felony. And I don't think they're going to execute a no-knock warrant for that. So I'm sure every case is taken individually.
Every case is definitely, exactly. Every case is definitely taken into consideration of what it is. And yes, there is felonious, fraudulent charges and all that. No, we're talking about violent crimes that put the public at risk is normally the ones that get those type of executions.
So what Desiree said about in preparation for a no-knock warrant and what Tex said, I'm kind of putting those two together. So you're saying that there's a lot of preparation done ahead of time,
like documentation.
You sit and you watch the house, you see who's coming, who's going,
right? Who's in the house at the house at the time. So the judge normally gives. You have to provide like all this documentation. It has to meet so many different requirements. Your sergeant signs off on it, lieutenant goes up the chain. After that, everybody goes through it. Then the judge signs off on it. And the judge is like signing off on this thing within minutes of execution. So from the time they get that warrant in their hand, they let the people know. You see what I'm saying? So the time for error of little Susie coming in from work or whatever, we should be able to report that back. Hey, plans have changed. Someone's been added to the equation. Someone just got home, whatever. And then the judge makes that decision whether or not to sign off on it or not.
So if all that preparation is made, why not catch that person walking out the house?
That's my question. if you are at the point where you can watch, who is going when and where, can't you just watch the place, and when they step out of the place, go grab them there?
Yeah. And definitely, sometimes that does happen. In the moments when we're sitting on the house, the person that we're looking for comes outside. And if there's enough people in the area, then yeah, we definitely do apprehend like that.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it is my opinion that sometimes, the police take the most dangerous options that they can to apprehend fugitives or even, lawbreakers, because I don't see how anything like a no-knock warrant can go any good, especially with other people there, because the whole dynamics of it is confusion, right?
Yes.
It's not done. Yeah, it's not done. Right. You surprise a criminal, he's going to defend himself.
Yeah. Right? Or in this case, somebody who's not a criminal.
Right.
A legal registered gun owner was sleeping with a gun by his bed. And, so that's the other thing. Police said he pointed the guy. I believe that's a lie. Right?
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Chris, because I believe if somebody kicks my door off, I should be able to shoot the first person that comes through.
Of course.
If you do not have permission to come into my house, I should be able to shoot the first person coming in.
Just like it's just like with Breonna Taylor, right? I mean, that's how she got killed in a no-knock warrant, again in the wrong place, and her boyfriend. Somebody's busting in the door. He shot back. And, he got charged for that.
I just
police.
So there is times where we announce it, but we still knock, Houston Police Department, and we still make entry without waiting for someone to answer. Then does that make it better for you guys that they knocked and said they were the police and then made entry?
Or
you're saying,
at least give them
you're saying wait to be let in. Wait to be let in.
Well, wait to be let in.
Announce your presence.
And then make
announcing your presence, because you just busted in. That's just like in your room, and somebody just kicks the door off and come in. First of all, you're bound to be startled, and just straight instinct is going to take over.
Yes.
Right. The police should not
get you killed.
Right.
Yeah, but as a criminal that doesn't want to be apprehended, knock, HPD, and I make entry, and the other person on the other side of the door that doesn't want to go to jail is still going to shoot at me.
But don't you think that it is easier to either wait a criminal out or enter in a safe manner than to come
definitely.
in?
I mean,
right?
Definitely. The goal is always to do something the easier and the safest way, of course. Definitely,
I think no nut warrants are just primitive. It's just a primitive way of doing the same work.
Yeah.
I mean, if you surround the house, you give him options. If you don't want to come out, well, at least he has an idea of what's going on. And we've seen these standoffs a lot where it ends peacefully, right? But you go into a home, just blasting, and you don't expect these criminals to blast back. Police gonna get hurt, innocent people going to get hurt. It's just, I just see it as
y'all do realize that no knock warrants go well more often than not, right?
But I would assume
even that doesn't matter. It just takes one time for it.
It just takes one. That one may be somebody's husband or wife or child.
Right.
Right. So we don't care about the percentages.
Because nobody talks about the good ones.
Well, hold on. The reason I brought up the percentages is because he said wait them out, and we see these things all the time. They end good. They end well most times. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, I think that it will end better than you just blasting in. I think that is just my opinion. I'm not a cop.
Those end bad as well. So I'm just saying, in any instances, executing a warrant is dangerous, and executing a warrant doesn't always go the way that we think it should go. And someone sometimes does get hurt. No matter if it's no knock, no matter if it's I'm behind a car with a felon in it and we get in a high-speed chase and innocent people get hurt that way, and then people say, oh, we shouldn't be doing chases either. I've heard that. Call off.
Well, I mean, the mayor has said that one time. Bill White did not want chases. He just said, hey, don't chase them. But I mean, you guys are professionals and been doing this for a very long time. It gotta be a better way to apprehend criminals. It gotta be a better way. It gotta be a better way to apprehend criminals than no knock and just kicking guns blazing through the door.
We all acknowledge that it is dangerous. Look, police and citizen, a traffic stop is dangerous.
Yes. I agree.
You ran a red light or whatever, that's dangerous. So we know that police, citizen, interactions are dangerous. It just seems if a warrant has been executed on someone, and we know that's a dangerous situation, it just seems more dangerous to just add this element of surprise and kicking in door and flashbang and startle people, and it just seems more dangerous for all involved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I'm just curious, did any of you do any research on the numbers? Is there any statistics to back up how many versus how many not?
I haven't, but again, that doesn't matter to me. I am sure that most of them happen without incident. I'm sure. But again, numbers don't mean anything when we're talking about a life, because that one, it may be 1 in a million. If that one is somebody's brother, sister, father,
I agree.
mother, So this young man's family, they don't care about statistics. It's like I'll never see my boy again.
And right? I get that, trust me, because it could have been the other way around. It could have been a police officer's family that was mourning for that officer's life. But what I'm saying is, when you're trying to get policies and laws and stuff changed, statistics very well matter. And so if there's nothing showing and proving that this is so dangerous and out of control that people are losing, it's not going to change.
Right, but look here, it can't strictly be statistics. I'm not saying you completely ignore statistics, but it can't strictly be that, because most Black men who encounter police do not get killed. Most, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a problem which needs to be addressed, because it may be 0.05% of all cases, but it's a life. So if we're talking about a way where one life can be spared, damn the statistics. If this can be done in a safer way, then we should explore a safer way. And again, so this could have gone in a completely opposite direction. A Mayor Locke could have startled, got to his gun before and end up shooting 2 or 3 police.
Right.
You know, and so now now he's going to be on death row for killing police when they bust up in the house where he was. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know, man. So basically, the Minnesota mayor said they're going to put a pause on no-knock warrants. I mean, either either get rid of it or just keep if it's so safe. I mean, why are we pausing it now?
Well, my question, you know, to you again is who requests these warrants? Who requests a no-knock warrant? Is it the district attorney's office, or is it just straight the police department?
No, it's the police department. It starts on our level.
Right.
So wait. It depends. Okay, it depends. If the charges have already gone through, an investigation has already been launched, and the DA looks it over and says, yes, there's enough evidence to prove that this person is guilty of a crime and needs to go before a judge, then they would execute the warrant and say, whoever finds this guy, could be in another state, it could be in another county, it doesn't matter. There's going to be a warrant put out, and anybody that runs that person's name will see that they have a warrant. Now, let's say the detectives, most times it's like the different agencies call them something different, but the drug task force people, right?
DEA?
The undercover cops that do okay. So the undercovers build their case and they say, man, we know for a fact that this guy is selling drugs out of this house. It's a trap house, coming and going. I have my confident informant, blah, 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 blah. He builds this case. Now he presents it and he says, hey, judge, trust me on this. We got to get this guy off the street. He's a bad person. And here's all my proof. And the judge says, you know what? I've read it over. I give you blessings. Go forth and bring him back. And then they give that specific unit the warrant to go and execute.
So does it? So is it like? So when they issue that warrant, do they say we're issuing a no-knock warrant, or you start with a regular warrant, which gets elevated to no-knock? How does that
go? So there's a misdemeanor level; those are low-level crimes, and then there's felony warrants. Mm-hmm. So the felony warrant that gets put out by the DA, anybody can execute that, even if it happens in is executed in Harris County. If they get caught in Louisiana and they run their name and it shows they have a felony warrant, they can take them, apprehend them by any means necessary.
And so does a felony warrant necessarily mean it's a no-knock?
No.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No. I mean, she said it was on
an individual
basis.
But once it's a felony warrant, by any means necessary to apprehend that subject, you can do it.
Okay. So
I just think that if I was a captain in the police department, I don't think I would ever require or request a no-knock warrant, because it's just, I mean, it's just my opinion, but it just seems so much stuff could go wrong, and I want all my cop buddies to go home. You know, I mean, you know, it's just, I mean, I know it's an instrument they use, and it may be necessary, you know, sometimes to some people, but I just think that there has to be a better way.
I definitely think it has its place, and it might be overly used, and maybe they should not use it as often, but it definitely has its place to be used.
All right, sure. So let me ask you a question. You know, we're not going to talk you in circles all night. I hear where you're coming from. So now let's see. I don't know if that decision is made at the department. Well, and I said in Minnesota, the mayor. I'm sure it's probably different everywhere. So the mayor said no more no-knock warrants. But I don't know if in some places the police chief makes that decision. But let's say you're in. I don't know how it works here in the city where you are.
The chief can never.
The chief can't. Okay, so it happens at a level above the chief.
Yes.
All right. So let's say the mayor of Houston or whichever department you're in says no more no-knock warrants. Okay, and you are the chief. So now you. So what would you do instead? You know what changed? If you know that you don't have this option of a no-knock warrant, what will be done instead?
I guess you wait until the person comes out the house and get them then.
Okay, so why couldn't we do that now?
We can and we do.
All right.
It just depends on the circumstances. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you know, basically where I'm coming from, it's like, like I said, to he who has a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? If you have the tool, you got to use it, right? So if that tool was taken off the table, it seems like we're taking something that is less dangerous off the table and give people other ways of you know, issuing, of executing warrants and bringing people to justice. You know, I hear what you're saying about statistically it doesn't happen a lot where things go bad like this, but you know, I look at cases like this, and so when the first time I heard about the story, the news anchor said, "All right, take your time wherever you are right now. If you're sitting on your couch or you're laying in your bed, just imagine where you are right now, and just imagine that somebody just kicked in the door right now. A group of people came in the door right now. What would you do?" Right? And so when I'm thinking through it, I just imagine this brother's last seconds of his life. He was sleeping on a couch at his cousin's house. 6 police kick in the door. Within 9 seconds, he's dead. You know, so look, it's one incident, but it's happened before. It's tools that have been nationally publicized in the last few years with Breonna Taylor as well. So we should, at the minimum, look into this. Look into other approaches. Statistically, most people don't die, but hey, that's at least 2 people that didn't have to die as far as I'm concerned. So that's my final thought on that. Tech Special, any final thoughts on that before my police get to our bed?
It's just that there's a lot of other first world countries that have crime that don't use this, and you know they don't have a major problem like we have here. You know, I mean, I don't know if police in here consider any other options like anything else before they do a no-knock warrant. I know some criminals just have to get off the street. I understand that. But we have to find a safer way. We just have to. For everybody, not just the criminal, for the cops too, because they're the one doing the work. So we just have to find a safer option. We do. This is not a safe option, right? It's not. If just one person dies, just like Chris said, it's too risky. Just one person. But who knows?
Next. Final thoughts before you send police to our bed?
Yeah, so to me, it's just the element of surprise and the confusion that makes it very dangerous on both ends. And I definitely understand the point of, even if the police do announce themselves and you have a dangerous criminal behind the door or whatever, they might not want to go to jail and they're going to do whatever they can to stay out of jail, whether it be, firing on police or what may have you. So definitely needs to be a circumstance where, we look into it and find safer measures, especially, I understand the man hours that's probably put into this researching and just people on the street. Like I said, my thing is, okay, if all this research is done, grab them at some other point, because I know, the manpower is there, you know what I'm saying? But putting other people's life at risk, that's just downfall for me.
They got to leave the house sometime.
Exactly. Yeah, grab them when they're going to go get some court chicken.
Yeah.
Or I think there was, I read there was a roundup, and of course it wasn't for felony stuff, for traffic tickets. And what they did, they sent people like flyers or emails about winning the lottery or winning something.
Oh, when that's they showed dirty. Up. That's dirty.
The cops slick. You have to watch them.
Y'all didn't hear that?
Oh,
yeah. I heard it.
That's dirty.
They do it every year.
I was like, hey, Chronic's got a new album.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what?
because
I'm coming right now.
one credit I'll give to the cops, especially in Harris County. They have a period where they'll say, okay, we'll suspend your warrants if you come in and talk to us, and we try to fix it. I can applaud them for doing that.
I wouldn't trust that.
Right?
I wouldn't trust that. Don't do it.
No, it's completely
No, it's
safe.
legit. It's legit.
Yeah,
it's legit.
And I applaud that. I applaud that. But the other time,
well, thank you for coming.
Show up, I'm suing somebody if they don't give me my money.
Police, give us your final thoughts on the subject. Thank you for coming. Thank you for explaining this. I learned a lot more about this than I knew before. The fact that preparations are done ahead of time, you kind of scope out the place and kind of say who's, that makes me feel a little better. Not to say let's bust in this house. So that was educational. So thank you for that. But any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
I still stand on the fact that I think no-knock warrants should not be totally totally done with.
Okay, right.
But I do feel like for other states that maybe don't require all that documentation before they sign off on it, that maybe they should make amendments to how it is acquired. But I do think that no-knock warrants still serve its purpose in the right situations, and we should not take it off the table. I stand on that.
Then blue line, they're not gonna cross it. They're not crossing that blue line. We got to stick together. All right, police. Thank you for.
I might be interested in the next topic.
She wants to stay.
Okay, well, okay. You got to stay on here.
Maybe.
But all right, so we have. Let's talk racism. All right.
Let's lighten up the mood.
Yes. Something, there are a few racial-based topics. All right, so the first one I want to touch on is, and this, is relevant to all of us because we are, it is out of high school now, but Texas, and this is not just a Texas thing, it's happening in a lot of Republican-controlled states where they are banning books that basically talk about either racism or other subjects that they don't feel should be talked about. So banning books from school, from libraries. So for example, in this district outside of Plano, there is a children's book about Michelle Obama that they are getting banned because they say it teaches reverse racism. Right. There's another one where it talks about Wilma Rudolph. I think she was a track athlete back in the day. And it, talks about her experiences. Wilma Rudolph is probably like in the 50s or something like that. Talk about her experience dealing with racism as a child. And they want that book banned. Right. So it's basically anything that talks about historical facts. They don't want touched. They don't want even discussed, right? So let me ask you a question. Police, since you graced us with your time to stay longer, why are white people so afraid of the truth of history?
Well, seeing as that I'm not white, I really can't answer that. But
speculate.
I could never speculate.
Put yourself.
But I will say this.
Say you were a Becky.
This is not a new phenomenon. You know that, especially Texas has always written their textbooks in a way that changes the way that history is being told.
It's perceived.
Narrative.
They've always, this is not a new phenomenon. So
why do you think they do that?
Well, of course they don't want the truth to come out. Of course they don't want us to know what happened in its entirety. They want to rewrite the story to tell it how they think it should be told. And that, I guess, is to protect their privilege.
or their ego?
Both.
and their safety. Obviously, if people know the truth, there will be an uprising, and so no one wants that to happen either.
Now, when you say that, it reminds me of this activist I saw. This I don't remember over which one of these police shootings, but they're just talking about it's just I think there's something in Missouri, and she was just angry, and she was like, they should be lucky that what we're asking for is justice and not revenge, right? It's like so, like when you think of what has happened, just specifically within this country, we know this happened all around the world, but specifically within this country over the past, 400 years, if people like really understood the depths of it, it's not like slavery done and then okay, cool, go and do your thing now. It's like as soon as people start building up and making a little progress, they're burning down places and hanging people, and you know what I mean. So it's like, so I agree. They don't want people to know that these things happen because, the amount of anger that will build up in people, like this is what this is what you've really been doing to this group of people, and literally pushing them down every time they try to stand up for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? Especially, but what say you?
They will never, ever, ever accept, that certain things happen. And the way you deny that is to make sure that what is written is not the truth. Right.
And in their favor.
Right. The truth is so bad. They know the truth is so bad that they cannot have it documented properly anywhere. Because, this is one of the countries who do not want to accept responsibility for their part in slavery. And they're not trying to help out the people that they've hurt. Right? A lot of other countries, when I tell people that Germany is paying for it, they actually are, they're repaying people for the Holocaust. Right? Every month, right? Descendants, they get a check.
Right? Not just there, here too.
Right. So, it's but you have to accept it. And when you see a country like Germany, who everybody know how they were back in the 40s, right? Say, hey, what we did was wrong, and we're going to fix the problem. They'll never do that here because they do not want to ever acknowledge that. So they have to repay us. They won't. They will not. Yep. So no, they're seeing that if we even accept it now, it's going to hurt our kids. So you hear they're talking about, I don't want my kid to feel bad, so I don't want this stuff taught in schools. They should feel bad because that is how we're going to get change. They need to know that this was wrong and we make sure that it never happens again, and we should do something to fix the problem because it hasn't gone anywhere. There's systems set up the same way to let this thing continue, right? So the only way to fix that is to acknowledge it and then fix the systems, right? They don't want to fix the systems.
Yeah,
so that's why.
What you said just now about they always come at this nonsense. We don't want the kids to feel bad, and then I heard I think it was Joy Reid say that it's like that's how little you think of your children. Why do you think that they would side with the slave master and not the abolitionist, right? And because you're telling the whole side of, so if you're just protecting the sensibilities of white people, right? So you had white people who were slave masters, and you had some white people who were abolitionists. So why you don't think that little, Johnny white kid could associate himself with the abolitionists who can as a white person say, you know what, this was wrong. Why couldn't they associate themselves with that person? But they just say, no, since they're going to associate themselves with the slave master, we don't want them to feel bad. Right. I was like, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Sex.
So in war, the victor writes history. And what they try to do is actually wipe out the loser's history. They eradicate it. Any documentation, books of their history or anything like that, they wipe it off the face of the earth. And they create a narrative. No different here. The people in power create the narrative. And how they do that is writing that history. And anything that goes against what they say is a threat. Right. Okay, so once it's a threat, they have to do anything to eradicate that. And the thing about it now is we might not be in a physical war, but we're still at war because information is the treasure here. And it's so basically readily, anybody can write a book right now. Anybody can get information. You can get on the internet, go to libraries and things like that and get information. And because it's so readily available, there's a plethora of information out there that kids are able to, view, consume. Read, write, consume. Exactly. So this is a threat, to them. So of course they're going to try to do anything. Exactly. They're going to try to do anything they can to suppress that. So we just have to think about it in that aspect.
You know what's funny to me though? Hold on, Chris. What's funny to me is the bringing up of slavery. We don't even have to go back that far. That is hundreds of years ago. We can merely go back to the 1960s. My mother was born in the late 1960s and was a child and could tell stories. Bernie Sanders, who ran for president, can tell stories of marching alongside all of these. So we don't even have to go back to slavery. We can merely go back half a century. And there's so much that has been wrongdoing, Jim Crow laws, segregation. These things just occurred. This was like yesterday. We don't even have to go all the way back to slavery. So it's hard for them you might can hide some of it. There's no way you can hide all of it.
Well, they're trying.
It's too accessible. And the other thing is, I read in the article, Chris, that the parents, they were bringing attention to books and things like that. They didn't want the shelves and have that taken off. Now, should they be totally removed from the system? No, but if there's things that you feel like inappropriate to your child, there should be something, for example, a rating. So, you watch TV, you watch movies, there's a rating. It says, okay, this is for, NC-17, whatever that means. Plus 18 rated R.
Right.
It's censorship. So if these books that they find offensive or may have you, they don't want their children reading, number one, it's up to you to monitor your child and what they're doing. And number two, advocate for some kind of rating for these books. You don't have to totally get rid of them because there are, consumers that, actually want this information and want to utilize the information. So
what else? You know what else is crazy too? I don't know how old you guys are or where y'all went to school at, but
why she want to act like she's the oldest in here?
No, I'm the youngest. What I'm saying
is that's debatable. That's debatable.
There was an assigned book that we read, and it had been read for generations before us, and the word nigger was in there. And we had to read that book in English. To Kill a Mockingbird, was it?
To Kill a Mockingbird, yeah.
And I think they finally pulled that book. That can
that was recent.
It's finally been pulled and said to never be read and used as a assigned reading in school. So that's.
But it was a good book, and Anyway,
so you weren't against reading that? You don't think just because the word nigger was in there that it's
I don't think the word nigger being in the book makes it a bad book.
That was the word used at the time.
Yeah, this was from the 1920s or something 20s, like that.
20s,
So it reflects the conversation at that time.
So for us who should be offended by the word being used and taught in school,
so
we're not offended by that.
No. I don't agree in banning books, right? You don't have to read it, right? We can't debate what should the curriculum be and what. Yes, let's discuss that. But like in the case of like books in a library, It's not like you walk into the library and they force every book on you. You pick what you want to read, and if you don't want to read it, don't read it. But now you're saying, I don't want anybody having access to this book. That you're trying to, drown out something then. That's not even about your kid. You don't want anybody with that. You know what I mean? So, and what it comes down, I agree with everything all of y'all said. And what it comes down to is, they are afraid. They are afraid of, for one, the demographic trends are not in white people's favor, right? Through immigration and, birth rates and what have you. They are on the verge of being a minority of the population. Mm-hmm. And so, so it's out of that threat that comes, a Trump. And they do this white grievance thing, So now recently he's been talking a lot about, speaking of shit like, you go to the hospital and if you're white, you can't even get the vaccine. He has literally said this. So they just wanting white people to be angry and threatened about Black people and Mexicans jumping over walls and coming and terrorizing your neighborhoods. It's out of that fear of losing control. Right. And so they fight at every possible level. And this is another example of that. They want to drum up all this fear to get people to go out and, vote for their people so they can. And so this, at these school board meetings all across the country, they are just losing their minds, Yep. And, what Tex was saying about, trying to, in war, the loser's history isn't told. And, that's something that I've read about, but it's like right now we're actually living through it. Just when you look at the January 6th thing that was on video, that we all sat and watched and saw this violent mob of thousands of white people beating up police officers and busting on windows. And we saw this shit. We didn't read about it. We saw it live. And now they are acting like that didn't happen. Like the Republican National Committee is, saying that it was the exact phrase, legitimate political discourse.
Because it's a perception thing. It's a perception.
Yeah. So if we just say this enough, and forget the tape, forget your lying eyes and what your lying eyes have seen, forget all that. The history is what we say it is. Right. And it's amazing to just see this in real time. And so if they have their way, January 6th will not even be in a history book.
It'll be 10 years from now. It'll be written as a peaceful protest, and that's what our kids will learn.
They keep saying that too. It was just a protest.
And they will say all these rioters. There were some Democrats came in there to try and make it violent. Exactly. That's what they're going to try to do, man. So this is on to the next racial topic. HBCU bomb threats. I don't know if y'all have heard about that.
Oh Lord, can we get something more uplifting than this? What's going on? What's going on tonight?
It's related.
It is Black History Month. Let's just deal.
So like on the first day of Black History Month, a dozen HBCUs got bomb threats, and apparently, which I hadn't heard about. Weeks before, at maybe like 10 other HBCUs, they were getting bomb threats. In one case with at Morgan State University, they said that their duffel bags, 7 duffel bags positioned all over the campus, and they're going to go off at some point, right? Now, I just kind of it's related to what we talked about just now, and so my perception. And tell me, let me ask the question. Do you think race relations in this country are taking a step backwards? Or do you think that just through more media and more social media, just more is being revealed, but it's always been there? What do you think? Ladies first. Are we going backwards?
No, we're not going backwards. It's always been there, and it's just now coming out. We're being more televised and revealed. It's always been there.
Okay. Special?
Yes, it's just more of what is actually going on is coming to the forefront. That is the issue. I don't think it's getting worse because, you have a lot more people talking out against it, and they're trying. You can actually see both sides trying sometimes to fix the problem. Before, we really didn't know what the Republicans were thinking, because when we do hear them, they were just straight against everything the Democrats were about. So if the Democrats were say, hey, we need to get, compensation for Black people, they would just say no. But now we can actually hear more of what they're saying. And some of them are actually coming, not just being bipartisan, just coming over and say, hey, you were right. But the situation is getting better. I believe that. More people are coming to the table to hear us, to listen to us, and to protest with us.
So you think race relations are getting better?
I think it's getting better, yes.
Bullshit.
So, I agree with Special. I do think race relations are getting better. This new generation of young kids, they ain't taking that bullshit, because they have all the information they need right in front of them. The problem is who's running the news, who's writing the editorials, who's putting out the papers, who's running social media. That's who's controlling the narrative. So when you have those two dynamics, it gives mixed signals. So in reality, it's getting better, but the picture that's being painted as it's getting worse.
I don't think it's getting better. I think that every which way that they can throw a bone, they throw a bone. And Black people are so used to saying, oh, look, we get something. And we accept that and think that that's change. And we got to stop accepting these little bones as big change, because it's not. They're just pacifying. They're just pacifying the situation at hand to keep a handle on the fire that could explode and become something that they cannot no longer control.
But it has to start somewhere. It has to start somewhere.
No, it has to start somewhere, but don't throw me a bone. Like, change what needs to be changed. Excuse me.
So you want the whole rib cage? The whole rib cage. Give me the whole rib cage first.
I want my 30 acres and a mule. I want my donkey and my land. That's
like putting no-knock warrants on hold? What is that?
Yeah, sure, yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's a rib.
I just think people are becoming more race sensitive than before, and I'm not just talking Black people, I'm talking other races are a little bit more race sensitive than they were before. And it's not just because of race, it's just because we have a lot of social problems that, everybody needs to have their footing. We even with LGBTQ, everybody, it has become a little bit more sensitive to it. So I think they want to move forward to make the whole society better. That is
let me give Donald Trump a compliment. Oh, we ready for this?
I raised my hand.
It's never good. It's never good.
What the greatest thing that Donald Trump did is reveal America for what it really is. It reveals what is really in the hearts of millions of people. Okay, basically, what he did with his just brash, outward, overt racism on Front Street in front of the whole nation is give license for others to come out and just be loud, obnoxious, racist. And so that is his appeal, right? His appeal to most of these people is he says that the mean and ugly racial shit that we've always thought, but we couldn't go to the country club after we said it. But now we can, because he owns country clubs and he does this, and he says it on TV, and he says it to your face.
And he's president.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like he gave people license. So no, these people, they've always been that way. You don't just become that way because somebody else did it. You've been that way all along, but you've been kind of closeted. You've been kind of like the closeted racist.
They took the hoods off.
Exactly. Now the hoods come off and they're with no mask. They just look, this is who I am, and this and so I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing for us to confront America as it is, and not as the who we want people to think it is. America is a big marketing scheme that talk about things like American exceptionalism and this is possible only in America and the land of the free and people come from all over and immigrants come together in this melting pot. That's all marketing. It's still a country founded on genocide, built on the enslavement of Black Africans, and ever since they've been trying to maintain, the dominance of white males. Yeah, that's America's history in a couple sentences. So that's I don't think race relations are getting worse. I don't think they're getting better. I think it is just revealed what it has always been. That's my thought. How about a good racial topic? What do y'all think?
Let's hear it.
Please.
All right.
Start drinking in a minute.
Are you asleep? I think she's asleep.
No, she
poke the bear.
Just recently after dark.
Poke the bear.
I done beer for the 4 kids. All right. So Joe Biden, while he was running for president, said, given the opportunity to select a Supreme Court justice, I will select a Black woman. He said that when he was running, right? And one of the Supreme Court justices, Stephen Breyer, is retiring. And so Biden said, yes, I'm going to nominate a Black woman. Now, when he said that, Republicans all up in arms, that's affirmative action, that's all this and that. And then we're like, so who are Republicans before Trump? Their big hero as president? Like, I didn't even know this from before, was Ronald Reagan. When Reagan was running, he wasn't doing well with women. So he said, given the opportunity, I'm going to nominate a woman to the Supreme Court. Nobody said shit. They're like, oh yeah, it's time. It's time for us to have a woman on the Supreme Court. And then when he got the chance, he nominated Sandra Day O'Connor as the first woman Supreme Court justice. But now when Biden says it, the only difference is he said Black woman. So that they have a problem with, which will be the first Black woman ever nominated to the Supreme Court. So that's a big deal. And now, at first I was impartial about who he selects until I did a little research, and I'm no longer impartial. All right, so let me just read you her biography. I'm not going to read the full biography, but the most important part. Leandra Kruger, she's 45 years old, California Supreme Court Justice and Deputy Assistant United States Attorney General, and most important, the daughter of a Jamaican woman. So, yes. So, yeah.
Why are you shaking your head?
Look, if she had Lucian ancestry or Trinidad ancestry, I would say the same thing. If it's a Caribbean descent person, of course I'm going to want that person above anybody else.
Well, thank you.
I don't even care her views. Now let me know. If they make it into, I think everybody who is on Biden's shortlist has pretty much the same kind of views. So I don't think that's going to be the deciding factor. But for me, the fact that she has Jamaican ancestry, that's who I favor. But look, either way, she's not one of the favorites. I think it's going to be somebody else. But for her to be in the conversation, it's kind of a big deal. So, so let me ask this question:
hold on before you ask. I'm not knocking.
Can I ask my question?
Well, hold on.
Can I
address what you just said?
Go on, man. Go on.
As a Black woman of Caribbean descent, I think it's lovely for a Black woman of Caribbean descent to be in the nomination. But I want to speak to her character. Who is she on paper? What has she done?
That don't matter. You know I'm joking.
He's just joking, man. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, I mean the lieutenant governor of Virginia, Republican woman. She's a mad woman, and she is Jamaican. Not even ancestry. She is a mad woman. So I'm just talking when I say it doesn't matter. Of course it matters.
And let's not forget they have to get confirmed. So that's a whole nother process.
Yeah, nominations are great, but she ain't in there yet.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think whoever they nominate, they're not nominating anybody that they don't know is going to get confirmed. That's the bottom line.
I already do something. Because Rude Boy, the last one, they drink all beer and they accuse him of all kind of stuff.
Rape and all. Yeah.
He still gets confirmed.
All right, Desiree, as our designated Black woman on the program. So, and aren't you pursuing a career in law? If you're in,
I am. I will be going to law school soon. Yes.
Exactly. All right. So, how important do you think it is to have a Black woman on the highest court in the land? Do you think that's important?
I do think that it should. Yes, I think the demographics of the judges should reflect our country. So if there's not a Black person on there, then definitely there should be one.
Yeah. Any of you brothers want to opine on that before I
thought that lady that died was Black. She wasn't Black?
Who?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Oh, yeah.
Does that sound like a Black woman? No, she's a Jewish woman.
She's not. Well, white people tell you that she's not white, so anything is not white.
Yeah, they didn't claim her as white. They really didn't. No, they didn't.
I mean,
because they don't think Jews are white.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah, they don't consider Jews white.
It depends on who they is. Anyway.
Well, don't get Whoopi involved.
Come on. I understood what you were saying, but anyway.
I mean, I understood what you were saying. Anyway, go on.
We need a Black woman. Yeah, a Black woman in there to stir the pot a little bit because I mean. So
you want them to go up there and cook for them? Is that what you're saying?
Of course, too, because you know some of them.
Run.
Yeah, of course. You need to expand their mind and their stomach.
Sundays.
You have to expand the justices' mind and their stomach. Then we think better and a full stomach.
That's the quote of the night right there.
So, I mean, the perspective of a Black woman is very unique. And,
that's one word always, for it, yes.
Yeah, it's always welcome in any progressive society. Because, yes, sometimes it might seem, a bit sensitive or wild, but we still need those brainstorming. One idea can't always be right. One motion can't always be right. We need different thoughts in there. And trust me, she's going to bring some new ideas in there. I don't care. It's just because of how, you're socialized as a Black woman here. No matter if you're rich or you're poor, you just socialize different. And your perspective matter. So, definitely.
Trust me, Black women are out front. We are number one in the running.
Of course.
We are number one in the running.
Hey, that's facts.
Yes.
Totally agree with that.
Yes.
No, I definitely agree with the whole panel. Not too much to be said about that.
So the way that this has been talked about, like when it's spoken about as this is historic, the first Black woman, and right, and okay, that's relevant. But what I heard this attorney is a Black female attorney said, so yeah, the history is cool and all that, but what's more important is the lived experiences of a Black woman and bringing that perspective to the debates that they will be having. Like, yeah, I mean,
that's what Special was talking about.
For these hundreds of years, that perspective, you know, of a Black woman, yeah, they have the perspective of a Black man with Thurgood Marshall for the good, and then Clarence Thomas for the not so good, you know, but they haven't had the lived experiences expressed in debate of a Black woman. So
even her age, wouldn't that make her one of the youngest?
Oh yeah. She's 45, but like I said, we'll see if she gets too. Yeah. All right, so
innovative and fresh mind.
Exactly, she's pretty too. That's not really relevant, but she.
Well, it helps because Obama is fine.
Hey, yes, come on. He's intelligent. He's intelligent.
Michelle Payo.
Exactly. All right, last topic. Man, we've just been all race. So there's a whole bunch of, I totally text you, I'm not going to get to all these topics. But let's talk sports. You know, it's racial sports. Let's talk.
This is where I say good night.
No. It's race. It's race.
You got 5 minutes. Hang on.
You know what? Sports.
So, Brian Flores, that's his name, Brian, right? Yeah. Suing the NFL for
race
discrimination in hiring. So basically, the NFL has this thing called the Rooney Rule, named after one of the former owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because of lack of representation in head coaching of Black people, they put in this rule that says whenever there's an opening for a head coaching job, a black Black person has to be interviewed for that job, right? So, okay, I mean, it sounds decent on its face because many times, you know, Black people just weren't getting the interviews, so their name wasn't in the hat. So when another opportunity came up, so we're like, you know, let's get their names in the hat at least. So sound like it has decent intentions. What he's saying is basically the way they've been using it is just as a token interview. Like they already have the person they're going to hire, but let's just go and bring this nigga in and talk to him since we have to check off that box, you know. And he said that happened to him a lot, right? So before I were to come to you, Tex, first about that, but just for some numbers.
Now you have statistics.
Oh, stop it. Police. It's time for you to go to your bed anyway. All right. So in the NFL, the number of players, white players, 432. Players of color, probably the majority of those are Black, 1,220. So 432 versus 1,220. Head coaches, 26 white, 3 Black. So this is between 2012 and 2021. So the past 10 years, there have been 51 white head coaches, 11 Black coaches, 31 white general managers, and 6 people of color. I don't really like that term. General managers. So, and the numbers look similarly when we talk about coordinators. So, with that said, Tex, is the Rooney Rule a good thing? And if you don't think it's a good thing, how would you change it? If we made you commish for a month and you were to change this to have the intended effect of actually getting Black men hired as head coaches, how would you change it?
So the Rooney Rule could be a good thing. It's the fact that the organizations are using it basically as a tool, because let me explain what happened, because I don't think we got into that. So Brian Flores was to be interviewed for, correct me if I'm wrong, the New York Giants head coaching position. Bill Belichick sent him a text basically saying to Brian, congratulations, I heard you're the New York's man, or what may have you. And Brian basically takes back like, what are you talking about? Can you clarify?
I haven't been interviewed yet.
Can you clarify what's going on? At that point, Bill Belichick probably looked at his phone and said, oh shit, wrong Brian. I meant to take the text to Brian Daboll, which is who New York actually hired before even interviewing Brian Flores. So that's where the kick up ensues. Now, one thing I do believe, I believe the Texans probably would have hired Flores if he
until that too.
Until this lawsuit. So I feel like he really should have waited, secured his bag here first, and then dealt with that, because now he's going to get blackballed. No organization is going to want to touch him because of these pending lawsuits. And now he's basically whistleblowing on all the teams he's interviewed with, and his last team, Miami. Basically, that the owner wanted him to tank. He didn't want to tank. They gave him monetary incentives to lose, which if you're in the league and you're a competitor, of course, that's not what you want to do. If you're a leader of men, okay, and you're supposed to basically bring men on the field every Sunday and energize them, you want them to, win. It's not, but you can see what they did. They basically traded away good players or benched good players and things like that, and they lost that way. But anyway, back to the Rooney Rule. One thing I want y'all to think about: the Rooney Rule is named after Pittsburgh's one of Pittsburgh's previous owners. Okay, Mike Tomlin. How long has he been a head coach?
Like at 20 years or so. Yeah.
At one point, I think this year he was the only Black coach in the NFL. You think that's ironic? 20 years. When's the last time they've been in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So, Rooney Rule. So it could be a great tool, because, as you said, it's basically putting people in the forefront of the hiring process that would have normally been overlooked or not named or even presented. So in that aspect, it's great. But the fact that, in anything, where there's a will, there's a way. If organizations and owners have their man, they can manipulate whatever in order to get that. And it's just unfortunate in this situation that it was blown up that way, because there was I think he also said, Brian Flores, that he interviewed with Denver a while back, and the executives showed up hungover. So they weren't even taking that seriously. And that itself will tell you, how what they think about, Black coaches and things like that. So it's all about how they use it.
Yeah. Especially at Desiree, I won't even bother coming to you. Well, I mean, it's higher.
Let me tell you,
it's not even a sports related thing. It's, there's a lack of Black people in this position. How can you fix things, right? Because I don't believe in quotas. It's okay, you have to have 5 Black coaches, so you don't just go and get anybody else. But
so you could say that's reverse racism, because you're not picking the most qualified candidate. You're just picking somebody because they're Black.
Yeah. So I mean, the great thing about it, like you said, is that it puts the Black man in the room. He's having his because I think with Mike Tomlin, who you mentioned, he was like a defensive back coach of Minnesota or something. Pittsburgh had the opportunity, and I think he was, because of the Rooney Rule, he got an interview, and then they probably had no intentions of hiring him, but then he knocked their socks off, and they're like, oh well, shit, we have to hire him, and he probably would not have gotten the opportunity to be in the room otherwise, So from that standpoint, it's good. It puts Black men in the room, but not if you're not going to take it seriously. I was like, let's check this box and hire who we want to hire anyway. All right, Special, go on.
Yeah. You know what? What really aggravates me about it is that, it's crazy that this has to be a rule that you actually have to consider somebody Black for the position. It has to be a rule.
And you saw the numbers. Out of 1,600 NFL players, 1,200 of them are Black.
No different from some college admissions.
Sure, it sounds devastating, like a no-knock warrant, man. that you just don't get the same treatment. It's just crazy.
Don't get to go to bed.
So
you should have left while you could.
All this time they were just beating out, just excluding black people out of it, and they actually have to make a rule. So, nah, man, this is bad.
Yeah, you have to at least consider them.
And I mean, I'm black all day long. Black power, I get it. But what about the Hispanics and the Asians and the?
We ain't talking about them right there. We ain't talking about them right now.
Black History Month.
Yeah. But we'll talk about them next month.
If we're fighting for black
rights, all right. So look here.
All rights matter. Yeah.
The overwhelming number of players in the NFL are black. That if they were a majority Asian, then they would be the same thing, right? But they said people of color, but we know that's a 1,200 out of 1,600 are people of color. Probably 1,100 of those are black. Yeah. If you just stand to watch the games, there ain't that many Hispanics in the league.
Listen, I could be blowing this way out of proportion, but you know what I think of when I think of the sport football? Back in the day.
Here we go.
Listen. Back in the day, they made it a sport for entertainment purposes to put the two strongest black slaves in the ring and watch them fight. And that's what I think of when I think of football. Our black boys being put on a field for white people's entertainment. And we just can't see the bigger picture that we instill in our children. Sports. That's the only way you're going to make it in life is become the strongest football player instead of instilling like other things in them. So
who does that?
They make a lot of money. Jordan is a billionaire because of sports.
They make a lot of money.
I'm not even knocking it.
They make a lot of money, but the people that are not on that field make even more money off of their
That's
backs.
true.
And that's the bigger picture that nobody is seeing.
It's not an either or. It's not an either or.
Hold on. Y'all are crying about a rule to get a black coach when it's a bigger issue than that. Where's Colin?
Who? Who are you talking about?
Colin Kirkpatrick.
Oh, what? That's not his name. You about to go viral.
Y'all know his name.
Colin Kaepernick.
Colin
Kaepernick.
Where's he at?
I mean, he's not playing again. But look here, just to address
from Nike.
To address part of what you said there. Well, for one, I don't believe in putting all eggs in one basket. I mean, I don't believe that you raise the children to say, oh, you are going to make the NBA and NFL, and that's all you must focus on. Screw those books. No, you do both. And if you're good enough, you can get your free school, right? So that's that aspect of that. So I don't believe in putting all eggs in one basket. But this isn't really about a coaching thing. It's related to all the other things we've been talking about. It's about representation, right? Where it matters. So here is an industry. Let's say it's not sports. It's an industry where the majority of the participants in that industry are black. But when it comes to leadership positions, coach, quarterback, that's changed a little bit over the years. General manager, all of those are done by white people. So it's related to everything else we've been talking about.
Yes, and it reflects everything, politics.
Yeah, it reflects society, and the NFL, it's a good old boy system.
Yes.
All the teams are owned by white billionaires, and they only know who they know, and they interact with other white billionaires. So, black people aren't in their circle, so they have to force a rule to get black people to even come in the room. So I think that was the first step. Something else has to be done beyond that. Exactly what that looks like, I don't know, but you have to take the interview seriously. Now, you can't be having the job for somebody already and then just bringing in a black man as a token interview to say, okay, we did that, now let's go and hire, Tom.
The other brand, white brand.
Yeah, but it's all about what you can prove. We can assume that's all day long, but
Hey, if Bill already knew who they hired, Bill already knew who they hired. I was congratulating the guy already before he did his interview.
For real?
All right.
There's an investigation on that now, so it'll come out.
Okay.
Yeah. We have some juicy topics more topics, but we'll have to postpone till next week. Police, you stayed the whole time.
We appreciate that.
There was only one shot at you. You know, even though we told you to get to your bed, but hey, we had to get in one more, no knock before we log out. All right, Police, give us your final thoughts. A final thought. Let's say something deep.
Come back to me. Come back to me.
3. All right. Back to me. Special. Think of something important.
Yes, crowd of people.
Special.
Keep on doing what you're doing. We think the plague is actually leaving us. A plague or a pandemic. What do you want to call it now?
Locusts. Locusts out the
But anyway, situation is getting better. So people keep getting your vaccine, keep wearing your mask. You know, no more knock warrants. And you know, just consider other people. Consider how you'd want to be treated. You know, if you're white, consider other people. If you're black, do the same thing. Just consider somebody else. Treat people how you want to be treated.
Golden rule.
Yeah. Oh, I can follow up behind that.
You got it.
Go on.
Rana?
We're jamming still.
My message is to Black people. Don't be sheep. Don't follow what you see on social media or on TV. Go out there and find the information for yourself. Do your research and make your own decision on the things that you stand on and stand behind it. If that's what you stand for, then stand behind it. And stop looking for the white man to make changes on our behalf. We have to stand up for ourselves and go out there and make change. Stop waiting for someone else to make it for us.
FTP. All right.
So
thank you, Officer Desiree.
Definitely. Always a pleasure. So we can't put Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Okay. Period. Point blank simple. For those kids out there that are seeking information, definitely utilize your libraries, the internet, and things like that. And for those people trying to suppress that, shame on you. The same things that y'all are trying to suppress in libraries, you watch on TV all day and nothing said about that. So think about that. Pandemic, we still got it going on. Like Special said, continue to wear your mask, get vaccinated. I think we're getting through it. I'm seeing progress even when I'm out on the road right now. I don't see as many people wearing masks right now, but I do see in crowded situations, people take precautions and, try to social distance and wear masks. So it's getting better. We're almost through. Let's push through.
And if you go to the rodeo, wear your mask.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rodeo time again, huh? Okay.
Yes, I'm about to make this money.
After 2 years.
Yeah. But it's like we've been at this place before where it seems like we're on our way out of it. And some new variant popped up in Malaysia, and then here we go all over again. You know what I mean? So but look, we're all I saw a poll. I even did the polls like this. So like 80% of people are ready for the pandemic to be over. I mean, yes, everybody wanted it gone a long time ago, but
so who's a full 20%?
Yes. You know what? We need a little bit longer. Let's do it a little bit longer. But this I didn't want to rush through this topic, so we'll cover it on the next one. But there's an article I read in the Jamaica Observer Gleaner, just talking about the impact of in developing countries, where they don't have these devices and high-speed internet to be able to work remotely, but then they don't have school. So they're saying that there's going to be a learning deficit that is going to show up years from now. And the principal at the the school where I went when I was in Jamaica, where Dad is a principal of Clarksonville. We've done some community service with them, so I'm in touch with them all the time. And so they just started going back to school, right, after a couple of years. And, and that's a community, there's barely internet, and the people definitely don't have devices. And so what he had to be doing throughout the pandemic is driving around the community with worksheets and handing out to kids, and just so they can have something, you know what I mean? So that's one little community in Jamaica. Multiply that times billions around the world where people couldn't go to school and couldn't learn. That's going to have impact later on the line. So that's something that we. We need. I mean, it had an impact here where people had devices, and it's just that most kids can't learn that way.
We need no education.
Log off.
Anyway, so last thing on the police. I want to get just thinking of this conversation Sydney Rose and I had on our way home from school today. So they were learning about the civil rights movement today, and so I was asking her, like, what did you learn? And she said, the police were shooting people with fire hoses, and she's like, is that true? I was like, yeah, that happened. It's like police were setting dogs on Black people. I was like, yeah, that happened too.
She learned that in school.
They're reading a book. Yeah, she's first grade, right? And so she said, I have a question, and it was like, if police were bad back then, why are the police good today? Oh. And I was like, well, let me tell you the truth.
Oh,
no. So here's what I told her. I told her that, look, what you saw was some bad police doing that, but all police back then weren't like that. It may be most of them were, but all police weren't like that. Yes. And today, not all police are good, and not all police are bad. I was like, you get any group of people, you're going to have good and you're going to have bad. I was like, you remember the George Floyd? You remember that police who killed him? And she's like, yes. She's like, that was a bad police, but not all police are like that. So you just kind of have to look for people for, the content of their character and judge them by their actual actions, But so on that, this is the youth. They're wise. They're wise beyond their years.
Yes.
But all right. So that's my final thought. So police.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. You really added a lot to the program. We had a very civil discussion with you about a topic that I did not know a lot about. I see it on the news. No, I was like, what the hell is that? Yeah. So I wanted to hear your actual perspective. We text a few times about it, but I wanted us to have a discussion. And I think it was very, very insightful. So we thank you. So everyone, thank you for joining. This will be on mysoulrebel.com. So I think a lot of good information was shared tonight. So check it out on mysoulrebel.com here in about another day or so. So until next time, same channel, and police, whenever there's another shooting, we'll reach out to you again now. We'll reach out to you when it's not a police shoot, because you have You have good insights on. You have some decent insights. All right.
Not 90%.
All right, family. We're jamming still. Until next time. Bless you for the stuff.
Go Rams. Go Rams.
Oh, hell no.
Who's having a Super Bowl party, by the way?